Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining. Thank you, B and Justin, for commenting in the chat. Let us know what stocks you guys are watching this morning. But Tom and I are looking at Home Depot and Walmart. Home Depot and Walmart both reported pretty solid earnings. Home Depot just crushed estimates, and they're actually tanking off in pre-market. We have Walmart, who raised their guidance. They had strong growth on e-commerce and just sales in general. Like I said, they raised their guidance and they are running up in pre-market. So definitely keep your eyes on those two today. And Tom, I remember a couple weeks ago we were looking at the short interest on Walmart, and it was pretty high. Like it was like around 20%, I think. Let me pull it up right now. But there's always a potential for short squeeze when you have those short floats so high. I'm pulling up the data right now, but yeah, definitely keep your eye on those two stocks. Walmart is up around 3%. In the short float, actually dropped, Tom. Remember a couple weeks ago when the short float on Walmart was like 20%. Now it dropped all the way down to like 1%. So definitely keep an eye on that. And yeah, let us know what stocks you guys are watching. Let's take
Did
a
the
look at.
float really change that much, Mike? All the way down to 1% now?
Yeah, let me pull up the historical data on it because it was kind of crazy how high it was. I remember we were like talking about it, like Walmart had that high of a short float. Let me pull it up. Okay, cool. So on May 13th, Walmart had a 22% short float, and today they have a, what did I say, 1% short float? Yeah, less than 1% short float. So that's pretty crazy, and it shows you that over the past week or so, these shorts really covered. So I think that's very, very interesting to see. And I think that might show that Walmart might have potential to continue up if the people who are short this stock no longer want to be short.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And really, I mean, we've seen Walmart start to kind of creep back up. It was starting to kind of fall off, but it kind of held that support around like 135 and popped right back up. And I just, man, I can't believe that Walmart had that high of a short float, especially just given like what kind of company they are. And plus, like with the pandemic, how it was going on, Walmart was still doing good during that time and stuff. So it's not like, they were like falling off the table or anything like that. And it's just crazy to see a short float that high on an established blue chip value stock like Walmart.
For sure, for sure. Welcome Bill Taylor to the stream. Bill and Taylor, we have Taylor saying, "What's up, Mike and Tom? Thanks for joining in." And then we have Justin saying, "Got an AMC 12 strike call option, expiration June 25th. Thoughts, and what do you think AMC will do over the coming week?" So, Tom, AMC was exploding yesterday in pre market, and now it's just kind of tanking off. It's still up 1% on the day, but what are you thinking, Tom? I know this one's like super volatile and it's hard to judge, but what are your thoughts?
There was a really good resistance over the past few days at 1439, and it really broke that in after hours last night and then ran all the way up to 1580. And like you said this morning, now they're just tanking all the way back down to around $14. And I don't know what to think. It's just insane movement. It fell right back below like that 1439 level, 1440. And you can see how it had like a little bounce like right at that level too. And now it's down. So honestly, the intraday is going to be very hard to trade, I think, on this one. If anything, it might to me look like it might be a little bit bearish, if anything, but it's unfortunate to see because that move would have been amazing to see today at open, but it did happen in after hours, and I'm sure that a lot of traders missed out on that move.
Gotcha, Tom. Check out the Nasdaq right now. It's not like tanking, but it's definitely pulling back a little bit. Overall, we still are green on the day. Apple was pulling back a little bit at open. They gapped up and they were looking great in pre-market, but they were just fading until we open, and they're retesting that support right at 126. So definitely keep an eye on that. Welcome Lawrence, Simon, and Vicky to the stream. Thank you guys so much for joining. We have Lawrence saying Home Depot and VIX for today. So we were just talking about Home Depot and their earnings, but they are fading down a little bit. They have support right around like you could say like 317, 318. They don't look bad for a dip buy. Overall, they literally crushed their earnings. I think they brought in 2.5 billion more than expected, and overall they've just been doing amazing. The only problem I have with this stock is over the past 2 months, it literally exploded. It went from 250 basically up to 350 in like a span of like a month and a half. So even though they reported great earnings, I think it's already priced in, and I think we can see that through their stock because technically they're down on the day and
Yeah,
after they reported great earnings.
yeah, that could very well be. I mean, like you said, that was a pretty good explosion. And whenever stuff gets this high, you always look for pullbacks. And I know that we were looking for the pullback on Home Depot for quite a while. It does have that really good support though, around like 316, 317, maybe 318, somewhere like right around there. You can see it's hit there quite a few times. So just watch that. I think we're like right around those levels. So it's gonna be a pretty interesting day to say the least, I think, with Home Depot. I would say personally, I don't see it like falling back down to like 315 or anything like that. I have a feeling it might consolidate and just maybe go flat for the rest of the day, but we'll have to see what happens.
Sounds good. And we have Tyler saying, I'm watching GME on what you talked about yesterday. So, yeah, keep an eye on GME. Remember, it is a very, very, very risky play. Sometimes, the hype stocks explode up and sometimes they fade off. Right now, GME has support right around 170 or so. It was looking great in after hours yesterday, just like AMC was. But keep an eye on it. Right now, it's down 5%, so it's not looking the best. We have Ivy rising, a lot of volume coming in this morning.
Yeah, I mean, man, these stocks like AMC, GameStop, sometimes it's just really, crazy to see what's going on with these things. And like whenever you're looking at the overall market, obviously these things are moving totally different than the overall market. And it's just the main thing is that I would just trade like day trades and just trade them for hype. I know a lot of people were loading up on call options yesterday because they saw GameStop up. And while that might be a decent little gamble or something like that, it's definitely not a safe trade by any means. And hopefully, you had a good plan, or you had a good way to manage your risk, because it is down today. Hopefully it's not down too much for whoever's holding those calls, but overall it's just a crazy stock to trade. And Mike, I know that you even know that how volatile GameStop can be. We had that one crazy trade where we made how much was it, Mike? 10,000%.
It was a crazy number. I'd have to pull up the spreadsheet to get the exact number, but that was a crazy trade. But I mean, the IV on GameStop was, well, right now it's 150%, but back in January the IV was 571%. Like, that's unheard of. So it's extremely volatile, but that's good and bad because sometimes it can create great like momentum opportunities. But with the next question, we have Tyler saying Walmart popping a little bit. Yeah, so they actually raised their guidance and reported great earnings. I saw that they had some pretty good data from like their e-commerce side, so that's definitely good to see. And I can definitely see like Walmart being a continuation play, Tom, just looking at their chart, and I feel like they are kind of like lagging behind a lot of other sectors. Like, I know that tech and growth has pulled back a lot lately, but a lot of these value stocks are like kind of near their all-time highs where Walmart's been lagging behind.
Yeah, I agree. We've seen tons of stocks like Nvidia and others flying up, and like you said, Walmart's kind of lagging behind. Even if we go look at like TGT, for example, we can see TGT just kept breaking new highs and going up, but Walmart just kind of consolidated and went flat to slightly down even over the last few months. And honestly, like whenever they fell from like 150 all the way down to like 125 right here, that was a pretty insane drop. I know a lot of people were looking at Walmart in kind of a bearish sense during that time, and that might be when that short float was starting to get hot, was whenever this drop was happening. But man, right now I love the earnings beat by them, and I just think that as the economy opens up even more, that it's just going to help them more than anything. And honestly, they haven't done too bad, even even with the economy being shut down and stuff like that. And I just have a good feeling that over the next like 6 months, I think that it'll start to get a lot better. And I did see some news come out with CDC guidelines yesterday, really relaxing the rules with the mask mandate. So it's just more good news about reopening. And I just have a good feeling about some of these companies like Walmart, for example, that may just, maybe they didn't do the best during the pandemic, but they definitely weren't hurting. But now they might just get like back to their normal operating procedures.
Gotcha. So then we have B saying, why does X tend to trend appears and then continue to trend downwards end of day? Thoughts on how it will end on Friday. So Friday's like 3 or 4 days away now. 3 or 4 trading days. I mean, it's really holding that support at 26. It has resistance right around 28. As long as it holds 26, I think that'll be great. Tom, like, what are you thinking, like, with your SMAs, or like, what are your thoughts on this one? Because overall, like, they're trending up and they look pretty solid. they've had quite the volatile movement, you can say, over the past couple months. Like sometimes we'll see weeks where X goes from $18 all the way up to $26, then comes all the way back down to 20, and then like it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's volatile, but overall the trend is up. So like, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think that steel obviously is a big deal with this, and I think that'll be the main factor with X here. But overall, there's a great support, like fantastic at the $25, 26 level, like Mike said. I think that that's going to be an amazing area to watch, somewhere between 25 and 26. I think it's a good time to grab shares there. Also, with 1,000 SMA, it's sitting right on that, right around the $25 mark. So that's a pretty good sign that we bounced off that and we're kind of holding above it. We can see the last time we kind of, came back down and retested it and came back above it, how X started to really run up from around 23 to like $30. So hopefully we can hold this SMA, because if we break this and the support at the same time, like around 25 to the downside, then just you might have to change your position and go ahead and be a little bearish on this, just because steel is up so much. Just keep in mind that it might be due for a little bit of a pullback, and that will hurt X in the shorter term. And plus, it looks like there's a really solid resistance at $30. So it just seems like, in the short term, there might be some resistance. But if we can hold 25 to 26, definitely keep watching it. And I think that, like you said, it'll be by Friday. So over the next couple days, we'll really see if it holds this level or not.
Sounds great. And then we have JW saying good morning. Kathy Wood sells Apple and buys coin. So that's some pretty big news. So AAPL has been lagging behind lately. A lot of tech slash growth stocks have seen similar movement to this. They are a powerhouse, but they've just been kind of stagnant. But if we look at coin, they have just been tanking. So they're actually, did they break all-time lows today? Or they're pretty close to it. They're pretty close to their all-time low, and they're just trending down. I've been waiting to get in this stock. I remember when it DPO'd, it ran all the way up to $430, and a lot of people were saying it was just overpriced, but it's definitely some interesting news, and thank you for sharing that. But yeah, I'm definitely looking at a coin for cash secured puts. I'll probably sell a put on it sometime soon.
Yeah, and they did actually break those all-time lows today. I know that the TD daily chart says the lows at 238.25, but whenever I go intraday, we can see that at open today, we hit 237.23. So definitely there was some movement there. That might have been slightly into pre-market, which is why it's not posting like that. But it is a pretty good looking stock here at these levels. And like I've been saying, I think anything like 250 or less on coin could be a good time to start averaging in. And I just feel like it's a pretty decent area, especially now that Kathy's buying it. It might, bring some hype in. And I think she was buying it before a little bit, but right now, it's always good to see like whenever she takes more position in it.
For sure. Then we have Corbin saying, good morning, guys. OST is doing great. Let's check it out. OSTK Overstock. Let me pull it up real quick. So it is up around 4.5%. It is doing great. It's actually running up a lot this morning. Has a lot of momentum. Their chart looks pretty solid. I think you pointed this one out yesterday, but yeah, it looks pretty solid overall. He has a little bit of resistance at 78, you can say, and then more resistance at $80. But I think it looks pretty solid. Like even for like a medium term swing trade, like I think the best way to go with this one would be like call debit spreads. I'm trying to look at the options chain right now, but yeah, thanks for pointing this one out.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty decent, honestly. I like how it's holding the trend pretty well and just holding supports and the trends at the same time, also moving above the SMAs. So overall, I think it's just a pretty good setup. And overstock.com, sometimes when this thing runs, it really likes to run. And, relative to its highs, unfortunately, it had like a lower high here and started coming back down. But for the next few years, I would be pretty bullish on a stock like this, that does e-commerce. And I would just expect them to, continue to do well as the internet progresses and stuff.
Gotcha. So one thing I did notice though is that their options aren't too liquid. They're not like there are options being traded, but like there's just not a ton. So just watch out for that. And then we have Click asking about SOS. Let's check out SOS. Let's see. So SOS,
save our ship.
Yeah. So it's up around 4.5% today. It's bouncing off that support at $3. Looks pretty decent. It's just been like fading off for the past couple months. Let's see. Their max weekly chart definitely looks pretty scary. I'm just gonna be neutral on it.
Yeah, I think so too. It looks kind of flat today. It looks like it's trying to run up to me. I just, it's hard to tell. It looks like there's a good like intraday support down here at like 325. So just watch that. But on the daily chart, it's just one of those stocks. It's been very volatile the past few months, been really coming down. Hopefully, it can kind of hold these supports and go back up for you. But overall, I mean, I'm just more neutral, like Mike said. It's not the stock for me, just given what we're seeing on the chart. But that doesn't mean it can't pop and grow by any means. So just watch it. I think that if you see it start to run, and for example, today, if it breaks above like $3.50, I think it could run pretty good for you.
Gotcha. So Tom, let's talk about one of the craziest like one of the craziest like 2 days I've seen in like quite some time, and that's with T. So T reported news that they were merging Warner Media with Discovery the other day. They ran up in pre-market. They opened up and then they ran up. They were up like 4.5% or like a nice amount for a value stock like T. And then throughout the day, this thing just starts selling off, and then today it's down 7%. And 7% on a value stock like T is absolutely crazy. Like, Tom, let's check out this daily chart real quick. Like, this thing gapped up and then just tanked off. So this is just, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, man, we see sometimes some of these stocks they really move crazy on some of these deals like this, and that move with Warner Media and the Discovery Channel, that's a pretty big deal, which is why they went up. And man, sometimes you see these companies go down on deals like this, but I would not expect to see them down this much, especially since they ran up. I don't even know what to think of this, but it doesn't mean AT&T is terrible. They're still in like the middle of their range here. They have a good support around like $26, $27. So for the longer run, like with shares and leaps and stuff like that, I think it might be all right. It could still pop up over the next couple of months or a few months, obviously, but it's just one of those stocks that, man, that, like you said, that movement's insane. I'm going to have to really wait to see like what kind of news comes out with this one, because I mean, I know that there's news of the deal, but what would send it down so much? And it might be the news of the deal, but I want to see the inner workings of it and everything like that over the next few days, and just really get the good insight with these numbers, because this is insane, honestly, out of a value stock. And I know tons of people buy T for the dividends, and I'm sure that there's lots of traders out there, like, I'm not sure Warren Buffett holds them or not, but tons of guys like him who hold like millions and millions of dollars of it. So obviously it's just one of those companies that it's just crazy to see movement like this out of a stock that normally barely moves.
For sure. I mean, it was crazy because it was running up in pre-market a lot, like it was really running yesterday, and then those sellers just came in and definitely dragged it down. So we have Click saying Kramer killed TV on TV. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. We have Joseph saying AMC. Let's check out AMC. Let's see. AMC.
Ooh, coming down again.
Oh, no. Uh-oh. I mean, we're still up. I mean, we're up in, overall, we're up like 0.5%. What support levels do you have on this one?
I actually have a pretty good one here. Intraday around 1380 looks pretty good. It looks like it's hit off that pretty close to 2 times today, came within a few cents, and it also hit it and after hours and at the end of the day yesterday quite a few times. So I think like 1380 is going to pose a pretty good level today, but we are going below the SMAs. And if we do break 1380 to the downside, obviously don't be scared to like change your position around or, something like that. Like if you're holding like weekly call options, this downward movement here is obviously going to be pretty bad for you, but always have like a good plan in place. And if you do see it break 1380, I have a feeling that it might keep going down, at least in the shorter term for those few minutes. So you might be able to do a quick scalp on some puts or something like that.
Sounds good. We have Dash running up, Tom. Let's check out Dash. It just popped up on one of my scanners. It's up around 6% today and currently trending up in pre-market. Their daily chart looks decent. They're bouncing off that support at 120. And what do you think about this one? Like, they're running up pretty good.
I actually think this one could be pretty good for the long run. This was another company that IPO'd and just wasn't able to do too well. Let's go to like that max daily chart here. And you can see they IPO'd over here around like 193, maybe like 190. And then they've just been very volatile since then, hitting 110 just 4 days ago, and they're really starting to pop back up at around 140 right now. I personally feel like, Mike, this could be a pretty good swing over the next few days, possibly. DoorDash is, I have a good feeling over the long run that they're going to be a decent company. And I just think that for the next few days, with the momentum that we're seeing, it looks like a pretty decent stock here.
Sounds good. And let's check out. Let's check out. We have airlines running up, so we're seeing some money flowing into airlines. AAL is up around 1.5%. UAL up around 1.5%. Southwest up around 2%. So definitely keep an eye on airlines. They are running up. We have the Jets ETF. Jets ETF up around 1.5%. So that's good to see. What else do we have moving? Boeing is trending up a little bit. They're bouncing up. We have Blink trending up a little bit. Let's see. Cruise Line's trending up a little bit. CCL up around 2.5%. This one looks pretty good. NCLH up around 2.5%. RCL is up around 1.5%. So keep an eye on these stocks. We're starting to see a good amount of money flow into them. And guys, let us know what stocks you're watching so Tom and I can cover them. You know, if you guys are looking at plays or whatever, share them in the chat and Tom and I will cover them.
Yeah, I'm actually really liking to watch Boeing right now, Mike. I think that this, we can see how much of a downwards or how much downwards momentum they've had over the past few months. And they're really sitting like right around that like 220 support and also that 100 SMA there. And it just looks like on the daily chart, like it's trying to turn back to the upside here. I have a feeling that honestly with Boeing, it's probably not the worst time to maybe like grab some shares or just grab something for a little bit of a swing. And if we look at like the 15-minute chart, I think that if we can break solidly back above $230, that we might see a pretty good move out of this one. And honestly, I think that Boeing is just one of those stocks that it doesn't really move like too much with the market or against the market. I feel like it almost moves like all on its own. And we can see that over the past couple months, it's kind of moved that way. If anything, it tries to follow the airlines, but it doesn't really follow them either. So it's almost like a stock in its own. And I just think it looks like a pretty good opportunity, honestly, off that SMA and off the support. So we'll just have to see if we start to see some pops back up, because if we do, and we start heading back up towards like 260 or 280 even, I mean, that's a pretty far move from 230. So we'll have a lot of opportunity between that.
Yeah, and they're a pretty safe stock. Like Boeing's not going anywhere, so they're a pretty safe bet overall. And then we have Vicky saying MGNI and SKLZ. So let's check it out. MGNI. So MGNI is up around 5% today. They're bouncing pretty well off of that 25 support. Overall, their trend looks great. They ran from $5 all the way up to 65. Now they're sitting back down at like 26. Their chart looks pretty solid though. I think this is a pretty decent dip buy. It's not my favorite, but I think it looks pretty decent.
I do too. I really like it off 25. Like you said, that looks like a pretty solid level in the past. And hopefully we can keep going up here just because it looks so good off of that level. And then she said SKLZ, right?
Yes.
SKLZ. Let's go check that one out. Yeah, that one's really running today. I honestly really like it. Looks like we're approaching the 1,000 SMA on the 15-minute, but honestly, it looks very, very good. If we go to the intraday 1-minute chart, looks like it's really running up there. I like how it just broke like that resistance around like 1615. Now we're at like 1630 running right as I'm talking. So it looks like a pretty decent setup if you can catch some very fast momentum, but just keep in mind it's rising as I'm talking. So it might be kind of hard to catch now.
I think this one's pretty good for like a medium-term swing trade too. I know Kathy Wood has been buying into it a lot lately too. So I think especially at the price level, like even if you like bought in now and then like you maybe like set your stop loss at, I don't know, let's say we look at like $12 or so, and then the target profit at, I don't know, let's say 22 or 23. I feel like that's a pretty good risk reward setup, and I feel like it's a pretty decent trade.
I do too. And normally we don't see stocks double bottom as well as this. And it looks like it really has a pretty significant double bottom here around that like $12.50 level, $12 level. So just honestly, like I'm not surprised to see it going up, especially after Kathy's been buying it. So if you like it for the longer run, Vicky, yeah, grab some shares, please, because I think it'll honestly be a pretty good one to just average into and hold over the next few years as we see more good movement out of it.
Alrighty, and then we have JB asking about Etsy. So Etsy got smacked last week, but they are bouncing up a little bit. They have big support at 160, and he is asking for the resistance levels. So they have, let me pull up my chart real quick. So their major resistance that I'm looking at right now is right around 171. That's like the major resistance. After that, they have a little bit of a chop right around like 184. And then Tom, do you see anything in between that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have a good feeling here. Like, let's see on the daily, it's a little hard to see. I mean, 180 is about the most defined level. If I go into a 90-day, 15-minute, let's see. I mean, yeah, somewhere like around 180 first, maybe like 184, like you said. I think that over the next few days, 170 is going to be a very big level. Between there, it looks like it was just a pretty big gap there. So honestly, like if it breaks 170, or like let's just be safe, like 171, I think it could fill that gap possibly up to 180 pretty safely.
So yeah, just keep your eye on it. There are like a couple different resistance levels. I would say the major like next one to watch is like 170 to 171. And then we have, we have Piper saying, good morning. What are your thoughts on CCIV in the short term? So let's check it out. CCIV, I know they were running pretty well this morning. They are up around 3.5%. They are bouncing off of support. I think it looks pretty good. So for the short term, I mean, they have momentum and they've just been getting beaten down over the past couple months. We can see that like when it has these downtrends, like normally like it pops back up like at least a couple dollars. So I would expect to move back up at least to like maybe like 22 or 23 over the next couple weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see that, honestly. CCIV is a pretty good company, and hopefully over the next like 5 years, they can start to get a little bit more established in the EV market and start to really give some competition to Tesla. Because right now Tesla is really the dominator in that sector, and I just have a good feeling that some of these other companies like CCIV might start to get a little bit more established as we go on over the next few years, like I said. And I have a good feeling, like you said, that it's gonna move up over the next like few weeks, and I think it's a pretty good time to grab shares. The highs were all the way at $64, and who knows, with that SPAC deal stuff, we might not get to $64 again for a little while. But safely though, like you said, there's some of these like lower levels like 30 and 25, which are actually pretty attainable.
All right, and then we have Tyler saying GME is holding good on their 170 support. So GME is holding good on their 170 support, at least for right now. The stock has a 150% implied volatility, so only God knows what's going to happen in like the next 10 minutes or 20 minutes because it's just a very volatile stock. But for right now, it's definitely holding that 170 support. We have B saying, what do you guys think about MRO? Let's check out MRO. So I was looking at a lot of different like sectors and like analyzing a lot of different sectors over the past 3 months. And the energy sector has been one of the best over the past 3 months and like year to date and stuff like that. And MRO definitely falls within that category. They're bouncing back up. I'm not sure if you're looking at this for like a swing trade or like a long-term investment or like a day trade or what. For like a long-term investment, I like it's not a setup for me. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not for me. For like a short-term trade, they have resistance right at like $13 and like $13.30. So I wouldn't be surprised if we like retest those levels.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, and I think that that's solid resistance. And it looks like it's definitely been in a pretty bullish setup ever since that COVID pandemic really made them drop. And it's just one of those sectors, though. It is an oil/energy sector, and like Mike said, it's been really performing well over the past year. But over the longer run, some of these companies are expected to maybe not do quite as well as they have been. So just keep that in mind also.
Gotcha. And then we have Corbin saying the 63 strike ZOM call options for June 25th. So I know, so let's check out ZOM again. 65 strike calls for 63 strike calls for June 25th. I'm just trying to pull up the probabilities on it right now. Give me 1 second. So those have a, what is that? They have like about a 37% chance of being in the money. So the odds aren't in your favor for being in the money. But the movement for ZOM looks good. And like we just said about like the energy sector, it's been doing pretty well. And So I don't think it's a bad trade. It's just the options and time decay will be your worst on to me.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, honestly, that's the main thing here with Exxon and Mobil, and it just depends how it moves over the next few days. We are pretty red today. We're getting actually right down to that 1,000 SMA on the 1 minute chart. Looks like there was a pretty decent support somewhere around 61.20, maybe 61.30, like where we are right now as well. So just watch out. I'm not sure it's just going to keep falling off the table today if you were just looking for it for a day trade, but I think that overall it's going to be a pretty good setup over the next couple days. And like if we look at the 15-minute chart, you can see it is pulling back today, but as long as oil keeps rocketing up, then Exxon and Mobil and some of these oil companies will do well. And I'm kind of curious because we're kind of seeing like a little bit of an oil shortage again. So like if we start to see more news with that, it's obviously going to affect these stocks even more.
Gotcha. And then we have Piper saying HIMS and then FRX. So HIMS is the first one. I know we talked about this one in a video a while back. It's not a setup for me. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not for me. It is bouncing off support at $8. If you wanted to like get shares of this or something, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. You know what I mean? Like you're getting it at basically like all-time lows. Their IV is relatively high. You can probably get some leaps for a pretty good deal right now. So yeah, I mean, it's not a setup for me. It might bounce, but it's just not for me. And then Tom, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't know like what to think about this one too much. It looks pretty worrisome here around like $8. It worries me that it kept breaking those supports. And we saw I just think that there's some better opportunities here with like PLTR, which is kind of holding its support, or NIO or BLNK rather than a stock like that. And if you go like look up what they do, it's kind of interesting. So like for the longer run, I just have a feeling that like BLNK or some of these other stocks will have a lot more growth potential to them.
All right, and then FRX. What do you think?
FRX, let's go check it out. Forest Road, I actually have never heard of them, but the stock really looks like it got beat down. I mean, man, $18 all the way to 9. It's not the worst. I mean, it's about 50%. We've seen that with like CCIV, Palantir, and all these other ones. But man, it's one of those stocks. It looks like the intraday chart, just not too much volume to it either. It's one of those stocks that just, I don't know. It's just not the stock for me. That's for sure.
Gotcha. All right. We have James saying, "What's up, guys? Good morning. What are your thoughts on Tilray from yesterday and thoughts on AMC?" So Tilray's looking pretty solid. Looks like it has a lot of potential. It's trending up right now, which is great to see. And then with AMC, let's see. AMC was pulling back the last time we checked. They're up around 0.5%. I mean, I definitely wouldn't buy puts on them right now, but at the same time, like it's really risky to play either way. I'm neutral on it right now until we can see like a clear break. It's been just like kind of breaking lately, but like every time it like breaks resistance, it just like fades off. So I'm just neutral on it for right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just one of those things where it runs up and sometimes it gets that momentum and keeps going. But today it just looks like it's just consolidating or just being very, very flat. And it also fell below these SMAs and the support around like 1440. So I would honestly, if anything, just almost look at it to be a little bit bearish today. Like if it starts to go down and like, for example, if it breaks 1380 today, maybe you could get in for some very quick puts and, always have a good plan together. But I think that if it breaks 1380, that'll be a good opportunity there for you.
Alrighty, and then we have Raphael saying, "Good morning, guys. Let's have a great day. Let's go." And then he said AMC and GME options and shares. So hopefully they pop up for you. I know a lot of people are holding like AMC and GME. I really hope they pop up. I know that there's like potential for like another short squeeze, so I hope we see that for you. GME is bouncing off of what support right now? Like 168, Tom?
Yeah, 168. That's also right on the 1,000 SMA too, which intraday that might not pose as the best level in the world, but at least it's on that support 168, which is going to be pretty good. So hopefully we can hold this right here, but it just looks like there's a lot of selling pressure today on GME. So just watch out because it looks like it's trying to pop below it.
All right. And then we have Corbin saying, "I have some DraftKings 45 strike calls." So I hope those have some time. If they do, I love them. I really love DraftKings at these levels. And, they're even moving pretty good today. They're up around 1.5%. So I like the setup overall. I'm just curious on the expiration date, but overall setup looks good. Then we have Jorge saying CHPT has been behaving lately. Hoping to see it break this descending resistance at around $24. So CHPT, I know we were talking about this one a couple weeks back, or like even like a month ago on a short squeeze, but the shorts covered, so there that got eliminated. But yeah, we definitely see that descending resistance right there. They also have earnings pretty soon, and I think that they're in a great industry or sector for the long term.
Yeah, me too. And they will break that eventually. I really like, if we look at this, they have a solid support. And when I say solid, like this one is solid. One, two, three, four bounces off of $20 here on CHPT. So I'm not saying that that's going to for sure hold up and it's going to keep going up, over the next few months. But I will say that's a great opportunity. Like if you got some shares now and through a stop loss, like Mike talked about, just right below that, maybe like $19 or $18.50 or something, it's going to pose as a pretty good risk reward scenario, I think, on this stock for the longer run. And honestly, over the next few months, these charging station stocks should start to recover up a little bit, especially with the infrastructure deal dealing so much with the charging companies.
Tom, let's check out Zoom intraday. This setup looks pretty good. Their daily chart looks good, and their intraday chart. I'm a huge fan of Zoom at these levels, and hopefully we break this resistance right around like 313. If we do, I think that'll be really solid for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think so too. If it breaks that, it would be an amazing thing to see. I mean, Zoom has just been one of those stocks people have really been waiting for it to recover, and it just kept going down and down. And it's just pretty unfortunate. But I think that now we're starting to see some momentum back up, just like we're seeing with a lot of these other stocks. And like you said, if it breaks that level today around 313, I think it'll be a pretty good opportunity for people.
All right, and then we have Click saying short squeeze chance to SOS. So I don't know the short float on this one. I tried to look it up, and it says the data is unavailable. So if you can let me know the short float, that would be awesome. Obviously, if they have a high short float, there's definitely potential. But with short floats, one thing to keep in mind is when these plays run up, it's going to be really hard for them to run up because they have so much selling pressure with them. But if they do break out and they do start to run up, that run up will be exponential because one, you have a ton of people coming to buy in. When it's up so much, it'll appear on a ton of scanners. But then two, the shorts have to cover and buy the stock back, so it just makes it exponential. So let me know the short float percentage if you could. That would be awesome. I tried to pull it up, but it said data unavailable. We have M saying Tilray is up. Let's check it out. Tilray is looking pretty good, up around 1.5% today. CGC is up around 1.5%. We have the MJ ETF up around 1.3%, so it's looking pretty good. We have L saying, I have $12. What should I do with it? Well, I would just save it. There's not too many good opportunities you can get into with $12, especially in the options market. Like I know on Robinhood, you could like buy like fractional shares. So if you wanted to like invest in some of your favorite companies with that. But honestly, I would probably just save that. We have Jerry saying Fed minutes tomorrow. Think we'll raise interest rates? Probably not. I know Powell was like saying like repeatedly that they do not plan on raising interest rates for like a couple years. So I don't think we'll see that. But if they do raise rates, I think that'll definitely shock the markets, and that would make for a crazy trading week.
It really would, man. Like if we look at the SPY, especially with the SPY like hitting like 422 and starting to come down a little bit, and everybody talking about inflation and stuff. If they start talking about those interest rates going up, it might just be the final like nail in the coffin for the direction on the market here. And if we do see it start to go down, then obviously we're going to see tons of articles and we'll hear a ton of hype about it. So just be ready. And I think that I'm not sure that the meeting, the minutes meeting will really give an insight that much into the rising rates. But I think that obviously the next FOMC meeting will.
Gotcha. And then we have Palantir creeping up, Twitter popping up. Twitter's doing pretty good today, up around 3.5%. They definitely are popping. They bounced very, very well off of that support at $50. And then their next resistance isn't until like, you could say, let me pull it up intraday real quick. Their next major resistance isn't until like 55 or like 56. So be on the lookout for that. But they're doing really well this morning.
Yeah, they are. It's just really moving well. There was a pretty good upper resistance right around, let's see, it actually in pre-market like double top directly there at like 53.20. And then it broke that intraday today. It opened. Just an amazing little play out of this one.
Alrighty, we have JMIA popping up too, up around 6.5%, breaking its intraday high, and this one looks like it's overdue for a bounce back up, especially on the daily.
Yeah, I mean, man, this stock is what is it? The African Amazon, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it should do amazing for the longer run. Looks like it held that support at like $20. And I don't know what's up with $20 and being the support for all these stocks that exploded up to like $70 earlier this year. But man, there's been like 4 or 5 of them that bounce off of $20 and are going back up. So honestly, JMIA looks pretty decent. I think that if you're averaging in shares, it'll be an awesome thing to do. I wouldn't necessarily risk it with like the weekly call options on this unless you were doing like some quick day trades or something like that. But I do think though that it's in a pretty decent setup.
Alrighty, let's see what we have moving. CCIV. Wow, CCIV is really moving, Tom. Check this out. Up around 7%. Check it out intraday. 7% on CCIV. They're looking pretty good. I just want to pull up their short float on this one real quick. I'm curious. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, CCIV. I mean, man, I just another one of those stocks really bouncing off supports right around $20. And it's just one of those companies like we talked about earlier. I have a good feeling about this one over the next few years, especially with how much hype they had on that SPAC deal and everything. And on the 5 minute candle, on the 5 minute chart, it really has held these SMAs nicely at open and just exploded above the high of yesterday. So overall, just an amazing thing to trade. Today, though, as we approach $20, I'd be a little bit wary. Looks like we're up quite a bit today. Not that it can't keep going, but I would just be a little bit worrisome and keep that in the back of your head that it might start to come back down or consolidate.
All right, so see, yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good. And then the short float is actually 26%. So it's pretty big. So there's always potential for a short squeeze when it's like that. I'm trying to see what else is moving. Let's see. Okay, I'm looking right now. BLNK plug. Plug's doing pretty well, up around 4.5%. Square doing pretty good. It's bouncing. I was actually eyeing out Square for quite some time. They have a really big support at 200.
Yeah, man. I mean, Square is just one of those companies that I'm surprised to see them down. And I know that they own Cash App and they do a bunch of stuff like that as well. And really solid support here around 200 to like 195. I really like it, honestly. I think it'll be a pretty good stock for the longer run. And Square's just another one of those good like financial stocks. You know, we see Square, we see PYPL, PayPal. They're both pretty good companies. PayPal's not doing too good right now, but Square I think has a lot of potential to possibly bounce off of this support.
And then Riot's bouncing good too. RIOT's up around 5.5%. I know it's been just getting killed over the past couple weeks, but it is bouncing off $20, you can say. I was considering selling puts on this one, but with the way it is right now, I'm just gonna hold off.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably hold off too. It just, especially with it being up so much today, but hopefully like Bitcoin and stuff like that can keep going up because it'll really explode Riot and Mara back to the upside if that does happen. And man, I know that, lots of traders have been buying into Riot and Mara, hoping that Bitcoin would keep going up. And it's one of those things where even if Bitcoin goes down, Bitcoin might only go down 20%, but Mara's falling, 50% plus whenever it goes down. So just be a little wary with these. We can obviously see how volatile they are. And if you're going to buy shares and hold it, definitely get them lower. So like right now it's a little bit low. So if you like, Bitcoin and you like Mara and Riot, now would be a better time than buying it at $40. It could still keep going down, but it would be a lot better time than buying it up there.
Sounds good. And then we have Corbin saying, reached my goal. My account is up 50%. So that's awesome. Huge congratulations. Great job and keep it up. Then we have Joseph saying, I told you exactly what AMC was going to do yesterday in the Discord. Well, let's check out AMC. It is down around 0.3%. So nice job there. AMC, yeah, I mean it's not tanking. It's just not definitely not popping up, but great job there, Joseph. What else do we have moving? VIAC, they are popping up a little bit. This was the stock with Archegos a couple weeks back. I mean, they've just been stagnant right at that $40 support for like a month or two now. Crazy.
Yeah, they have. And I mean, I think it has to do with those, like you said, with the Archegos and just all those hedge funds really getting hurt, but hopefully can kind of hold the support and go back up. I know that we've been talking about this one over the past few days as well. And I just, GameStop, we can really see how much it hurt them moving $100 a share all the way down to 41. But what's strange is that how much they really exploded up before that happened as well. So overall, the movement on this one's just crazy.
Sounds good. And then let's see what else we have moving. Fubo, yeah, Fubo's looking pretty good actually. So let me pull this up. Fubo, they're bouncing pretty well off of 20 again, Tom. I know we were just talking about these stocks that run up to like $70 or so, and they ran all the way up to 63, and now they're bouncing off 20. So they just reported earnings too, so I don't think that one's bad either.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, Fubo is an amazing sports streaming service. Looks like a pretty good intraday runner. And what looks like it's almost like all these growth stocks are all looking pretty good at the same time again. And they're all moving up together. We got like Fubo, Palantir, Peloton, PTON, all green today. Peloton up 4%. Mara, Riot, all of them. It just seems like today's a great day for those types of stocks.
All right, yeah, so let us know what stocks you guys are watching. Tom and I will cover them. What else do we have? So let's check back in on cruise lines, Tom. I know that they were doing pretty well earlier. CCL is now up 3%, and they're rebounding really nicely. I think these stocks look pretty solid right now.
Yeah, I mean, for the summer, I think that these are going to be pretty good plays, especially if they're allowed to start sailing out of the ports again. And man, it's just I think that once we see the news come out, these stocks will start to really explode. Even the airlines will too, but obviously the cruise lines will more because they have not even been making any profit yet, which is why they haven't recovered up as much as some of the other stocks. And I think that even regardless of the overall market, once they're allowed to finally go or sail again, I should say, or leave the ports from the United States, then there will be a pretty significant boost to their income, to their profit. And I have a really good feeling about this whole sector over the next couple of years. And man, it looks like a nice like stair step up as well. And not that it can't keep going down over the short term, but I think that if you do average into shares and you be pretty smart with selling puts and stuff like that, I think that you could get some great opportunities out of these.
And then Zoom's popping back up too. They actually broke their high. They're looking pretty good, so it's definitely on my radar. We have M saying Tesla is looking nice. Let's check out Tesla. We haven't been talking about it too much. They're bouncing off their support right at like 575 or 550, you can say. But this one, it hasn't been tanking. It hasn't been exploding. It's just been like slowly fading off. And I know that we covered that news with Michael Burry in last night's video with, what was it, like a $500 million put position on Tesla?
Yeah, it was huge, like $500 million. And then I think they were all puts, like you said, 8,001 put contracts. And we don't know the strike or the expiration, unfortunately. But I'm also not sure if he exited yet. As of March 31st, he was holding those, and it's May 18th now. So I don't know, but it looks like it's down quite a bit. He would definitely be up a little bit, I would think, on that position. And if we kept falling below this 550 support, it could get even worse for Tesla, but hopefully we can hold it. It looks like a lot of the other stocks are holding their supports, like Peloton. Even if we go look at like NIO, it's kind of holding its $30 support pretty well. So I think that Tesla is going to hold its support, but we'll just have to see what happens. If it breaks it, then Michael Burry is going to be very, very happy. That's all I can say. Because man, $500 million into that, and I think he runs Scion Asset Management, right?
I know that was like his old firm. I don't know if they closed it down or changed the names or
Oh,
what.
I got you. Okay.
So yeah, and then we have Corbin saying all the ARK funds are green today. That's good to hear. So ARKK finally green. It's bouncing off that 100 support. So that's awesome to see. CVS is popping. They actually are. I was just looking at them. They're up around 4.5%. Wow. They're actually exploding. And is this their all-time high? Let me pull it up. No, it's not their all-time high, but they're getting pretty close. And if you look at that max weekly, I mean, it looks like we're going to see a double top, or at least a retest of this all-time high right around like you could say like $110 or so. Like this max weekly chart looks pretty solid.
Yeah, it does look very solid. And man, I mean, I kind of expected I should say I kind of expected COVID to help CVS and like Walgreens go up, but it took a little while for them to actually start to pop. And it's nice to see them popping now. But like initially COVID was really hurting them. And, you would think that during that time, people would be going to Walgreens and buying up a whole bunch of stuff. But man, it's very nice to see both stocks doing very well. CVS is just looking amazing. Like you said, I have a good feeling it broke that 85 resistance, which was very, very key. And once it did that, I just think it looks amazing. I watch for resistance around $90 over the next couple days, but man, I really like it though. It looks like a great setup, and I know that you've been talking about it all the way down here since like $69 or $70 actually.
And then what do you think of LYFT? So they're actually doing pretty good today. They're up 6%. They're bouncing pretty well. Next resistance is right around 55. What do you think?
Yeah, this one's actually recovered up quite a bit. And, we're on the max daily chart here, and you can see their IPO price was like somewhere around like $88. This was another this was another one of those unfortunate situations like Coin where it really IPO'd and then ran way up, in pre-market or whenever the insiders were allowed to buy or whatever. And then finally, whenever the market opened and it IPO'd, the stock just tanked for the next few months, all the way down to, or few years, I should say, down to $14. And Coin, is in that type of situation as well, where it tanked off of IPO. But I will say for the longer run, it looks decent. I really like the double bottom at $45 here. And if we're looking at resistance, we have one coming up at 55.
Sounds good. So Tom, do you have any like last minute stocks or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
Yeah, man. I mean, what were we looking at? Walmart and Home Depot off of earnings, and now they're starting to kind of turn around. Walmart was initially looking great coming down now. Home Depot still red off of their earnings. You can see they pop back up momentarily for about 3 or 4 minutes and then just tanked all the way back off, having huge like 10-point swings up and down right now with these earnings. So just be very watchful of those two. Also going to be watching anything that have to do with steel like X. It's starting to really come down today, fell below that 1,000 SMA. Unfortunate to see there, but other than that, though, all these growth stocks like Palantir, Tesla, Zoom, all of them are looking pretty good today if they could keep running, especially like Tesla, Neo, Palantir. I think that some of those really look like good runners today if they can continue, especially like Palantir, for example, which broke the pre-market high and it is now starting to kind of break out.
All right, what do you think of resistance on Palantir? Piper's asking one thing from just eyeing it out initially, I see that there is a pretty strong resistance right around $21, so be on the lookout for that. After 21, I see a little bit of resistance right around like 21.50. Do you see anything else?
Yeah, 21 is definitely the biggest level coming up soon. After that, I see 22. And then after 22, I kind of see like maybe like 22.80, somewhere around 23. If you're going to look at an upper resistance, like a pretty high level, maybe somewhere around like 24.50, I think. But intraday, really though, just watch for that 21 break, because if we break like 21 or 21.10 pretty significantly, then I think that we'll see a pretty good move. And honestly, this will be a pretty good stock to watch today, especially if all these growth stocks keep going up, because man, this is just one of those stocks that whenever it runs, it really starts to run, and it's been bouncing off supports pretty nicely too.
Sounds great. And then we have Jerry saying banks look good to the downside as well in XLF put. So banks have just been powerhouses lately, like especially Bank of America and JP Morgan. So I hope this play definitely works out for you. The IV is pretty low. I'm not sure what expiration or strike you have, but I really hope it works out for you. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining and asking a ton of great questions. We will have another video out for you guys later today. But other than that,